The Chicago Bulls got their first win in Summer League, beating the Washington Wizards 97-87. And yes, the Washington Wizards were missing A.J. DeBonta, Trey Johnson, and some other players. But this is one of the first games that the Chicago Bulls looked really good, almost from top to bottom. Now, Jaylin Swain continues his bad shooting, which is very concerning, even though he affected the box score in some other ways. And Noah Esseke may have had his best game coming off the bench for this team as well. But the two-way contract players really stole the show, helping Caleb Wilson get his first win. We're going to talk about it all and more in detail right after this. What's going on, Bulls fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bulls Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bulls related. I'm the host there, Haize, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Bulls Central Pod on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button. We've got to go get into 50,000 subscribers by the start of the 2026-27 season, and we only do that with the assistance of you guys. About 42% of you guys that watch the channel every single day have not yet hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and hit subscribe. In exchange for that, I'll be giving you guys the best daily Bulls content you'll find anywhere on the internet. With that said, let's go ahead and get into it, right? The Bulls got a win in Game 3, but this wasn't just about the win. It was about the better habits in this game. Of course, as I said at the intro, we beat the Washington Wizards 99-87. They had a 23-6 run that was fueled by defense. That's the thing that really stood out by this one. The Bulls put their pressure on the Washington Wizards defensively in this game. And that because of that defense, enforcing turnovers by Washington, they were able to turn that into transition offense and just better energy overall as a team that really stood out in regards to that one. And of course, like I said, you do want to acknowledge the fact that no A.J. DeBonta, no Trey Johnson, no Will Riley in this game. And, in Summer League, it's not necessarily about the wins or losses anyway. It's about the process, right? The main takeaway from this game is that the Bulls looked a lot more organized in this game. And Austin Dufault was one that was actually coaching this game, not Tiago Splitter as well. Many people will remember Dufault took over from Peter Patton after A.K. and Eversley fired Peter Patton, or not renewed his contract, still a firing in my opinion. Dufault took over as the lead of player development. He got a chance to coach. Peter Patton actually came and watched him, his protege, coach this game as well. So, but the real value in this game wasn't just about the win, right? It was about the habits that this team needs and the players that are on the team need to try to recreate. And this goes beyond Summer League. We're talking about in training camp. We're talking about in preseason and stuff like that. But of course, hey, Caleb Wilson had another big game last night for the Chicago Bulls. In a more complete game. And while he didn't have a 30-point explosion again, when you finish with 9 points, 8 rebounds, 2 assists, 2 blocks, like he impacted the game in every area, right? And that's what you want to see from Caleb Wilson. That's how you want to see him. Caleb Wilson never needs to be a 6-7 assist guy, right? And that's why having a point guard with him is important, but that connective passing is something he did really good as well. This was, I think, in a lot of ways, a more important game than the massive 30-point game. Now, I know more casual fans are gonna gravitate more towards the scoring, but listen, in regards to this one, he scored well, never felt like he was trying to force the issue. He rebounded really well as that. He moved the ball. He moved off the ball really well. He protected the rim in regards to those things as well. And like when you think about how the Bulls are going to play basketball at the next level, this is a more, I think, is more indicative of the type of impact he can have right away for this Bulls team than averaging 30 points, right? Than scoring 30 points. It's doing all the little things, affecting the box score in every place, right? I remember somebody left a comment the other day and they were like, well, the Bulls, aren't we going to be a bad rebounding team? And I'm like, just because we don't have a center that averages 12, 13 rebounds, when you look at us positionally, you have Josh Giddey, who's positionally a really good rebounder. Norman Powell, who averaged, I think, 3.8, 3.5, somewhere in there, rebounds per game, which as a shooting guard, that's really solid, right? And then you got Wilson and you got Modest, who I think are going to be solid rebounders initially. Like Caleb Wilson's going to be really good. And of course, Nick Claxton. We've seen Nick Claxton average double-digit rebounds, but even if he is more towards the 7, 8, I think team rebounding we're going to be pretty damn good at because it's from top to bottom as a team and how we're going to get that. And that's also where Caleb Wilson is definitely going to affect the game at also, right? And I think Caleb showing that he doesn't have to dominate every possession is exactly why he's so dangerous as a player, right? Me and Pat had a discussion over on Locked On Bulls where Pat was like, well, Caleb Wilson is going to get most of the shots. I'm like, that's not really Caleb Wilson's game. Like, Caleb isn't some shot chucker. Like, he's probably going to get between 14 and 16 shots per game. And I think like this is where you can see that at. It's the efficiency, right? He's going to be really efficient around the rim. The 3-point, even if he's not necessarily efficient there, you still want him taking those to kind of get that into his game. And for what it's worth, we had another, solid 3-point shooting night for him. It wasn't an amazing percentage shooting from the 3-point line, but there's just the fact that he's still taking those threes confidently really stands out about Caleb Wilson. He shot 33% yesterday, 2 of 6 from the field. But like I've said before, like you want Caleb Wilson, if he's between 32 and 34%, taking 3.5 3-pointers per game, that is way ahead of where you expected him to be based off what he did in UNC. But, he's really kind of changed that conversation around him and what he can be. So, the complete game from Caleb Wilson really did stick out. He was a big factor in that 23-6 run that really turned this game as well for the Chicago Bulls. And you like that. Like, this is what Caleb Wilson needs to do. And, there's still, of course, those questions on if he's going to play in the next game against the Los Angeles Lakers. If he does, I want to see another complete game from him. Between the 16 and 18 points, the 7 and 9 rebounds per game, like get 2 or 3 assists in that game. Between stocks, combined steals, and blocks, get 2 to 3 of those, 2 to 4 of those in a game, right? And efficient finishing. Like, that's what I want to see. When you're inside the arc, finish efficiently, and we'll see in regards to that. The Lakers are going to have multiple tapes on him. Not that, I think they're doing the high-level scouting like in the regular season, but we'll see what happens in regards to that one. So that's going to be the test into it. The Lakers are coming into this game 3-0. Cameron Carr's coming off a game where he scored 23 points. More on that in a second. So we'll see what Caleb Wilson can do and which assignment. Like, is Caleb Wilson going to guard Cameron Carr? Or are we going to put Jaylin Swain on Cameron Carr? We actually started at the 3 rather than the 1 in this game. We'll see what's going to happen in regards to that one. But Caleb Wilson, again, continues to just show why he's really a big factor in, why the tides have turned for the Chicago Bulls as far as the fan base and how they feel about this team. You got to see what's going to happen on the basketball court. Now, Jaylin Swain's game. Jaylin Swain's is one of those games where he impacted the game in other places, but that scoring is still going to continue to stand out. Like, he did some good things in this one. I think defensively he really looked good. The 5 rebounds, 5 assists, 1 steal, 1 block. That's a solid stat line. But the thing that's going to continue to stand out about Jaylin Swain is he was 0 for 7 from the field. 0 for 7 from the field. Now, he had the highest plus-minus on the team at plus 18, but like I've said before, using plus-minus isn't really indicative of the total impact that a player's had on the court. Some people try to use it as the end-all, be-all. We're never going to do that here. But I do think, like, the scoring is a concern here, mainly because, like, don't get me wrong, rebounding, being able to have the assists, getting a steal and a block, that shows activity. When you watch the game, you saw that his on-ball defense was solid. He did get caught up in some picks. Like, that happens at times. The awareness isn't always there. The communication on that side of the ball isn't always there in summer league because these teammates you haven't played a lot with. But there were some positive signs defensively. But you still need the offense. You can't go 0 for 7 and expect people to talk about your game like it was a good game. Now, I do love the fact that the announcers and other people are like, hey, don't judge Jaylin completely off summer league. And I've been saying that as well, too. But I'm not going to act like the concerns aren't there because you got to be able to shoot efficiently. You got to be able to do that. You got to be like, this game, you weren't the point guard. You started at the 3. Caleb Wilson was at the 4. And so I will say some of the things that he did show. He showed really good vision. He showed unselfishness. The defensive activity was really good. His rebounding was solid as well. And he kept the offense connected, which is more like the role that he's going to have rather than setting up offense. But the 0 for 7 shooting, yet we need to see a game from Caleb Wilson before the end of this where he actually puts up some efficient scoring, right? I'm not saying he has to go off for 25, but it would be nice to see an efficient 10-point game to go along with, a few rebounds, a block and a steal, and some assists. It would be nice to see that in regards to that one. And we'll see if Jaylin can get there. But, the people that are like, oh, my God, I can tell from these games Jaylin Swain isn't an NBA player. It's summer league. If I went through the list of players that had bad summer leagues that went on to have good NBA careers, the list would be long. But he has to start showing some of that. And like I still said, I'm still not going to overly react to summer league for him until I see him next to an actual point guard, right? Chandler started at point guard. He did a solid job, but he's not the creator that a Trey Jones or a Josh Giddey are, so I want to see that in regards to it. But game 4, and especially if Caleb Wilson does not play in game 4, 8 to 12 points I don't think is out of the realm of reality for Jaylin Swain or something that we shouldn't be asking for him. 5 to 7 rebounds, 3 to 5 assists, 1 to 2, stocks in regards to that as well. If he can get that one, cut the turnovers as well, attack hard. Like, I want to see energy and activity from Jaylin Swain in game 4. Let's hope that we can get that. If not, that's on him, right? I don't think he needs to shoot 15 shots, but goddamn, can you at least have a game where you hit can you get the ball in the damn rim? Like, can you do that? Please, right? And then moving on from Jaylin Swain and Noah Essengay. Noah Essengay is starting to stack the right type of game and the right type of minutes that he played. Like I said it before, Noah's path to minutes, if he's going to play some for the Bulls, is going to be energy, rebounding, defense, and finishing around the rim, namely off what your point guard creates. He finished with 8 points, 7 rebounds, 1 steal. That's the type of energy that you want to see from Noah Essengay. And I like to see that from him. He came off the bench. I think he only played 16 and a half minutes he played in last night's game. So that's what you want to see. And so, like, this is kind of more the role that you're going to see Noah Essengay play. Was there still a little problem with physicality? Yeah, there was still some problem with it, right? And that's going to be a problem, but he's not going to get featured level touches. So to expect that from him would be asinine. He's not going to get that anyway, right? It needs to be about that activity and those type of things. And especially when Caleb Wilson sits, I would like to see Noah Essengay be the most active front court member for the Chicago Bulls. If he can do that, it can be good. The Lakers have those athletic forwards on that team, so it's going to be a real test of the momentum and the physicality that Noah Essengay can adjust to. But he doesn't need to be flashy. Like, some people want to see the flash. He doesn't need to be flashy, but he does need to be dependable, especially at this level of basketball in summer league. He needs to be dependable. So we'll see what Noah Essengay can do in regards to that one. I love to see from him in game 4, 9 to 13 points, 6 to 7 rebounds, 2 stocks in regards to that one, and see what he can do. Like, be elite around the rim, move without the ball, finish some. Like, those are the things that I would love to look at for this Bulls team. But overall, again, the positive things to take away from all 3 of the players that are 2 rookies and our second-year player, Noah Essengay. There's some positives to take away from it, but Jaylin Swain needs to show up. And there's just no ifs, ands, or buts about it. I'm not going to agree with having this hardline takes on who he can be based off Summer League, but he does need to show up. And that's just the reality of it. Caleb Wilson showing up. Noah Essengay showed up, especially in the last 2 games, more defensively than anything else. We need a game where Jaylin Swain really does show up. Let's see if we can get that. But the two-way players stole the show last night. I want to be clear on that. The two-way players stole the show last night. Jaylin Sellers, last night, 24 points, 7 of 12 shooting, 3 assists, 3 steals, and Sellers is showing why he may actually belong in the NBA. Now, I do think he's still going to have to go the route of the G League to get there, but for a Bulls team that's going to need shooting, they're going to need some scoring, it may end up like, it'll be crazy, right? Don't get me wrong, and I know people are going to have their takes with it, but Jaylin Swain right now is projected to be the backup too. Jaylin Sellers should be coming into training camp saying, hey, no, that's my role. I not only do I want to learn behind Norman Powell, but also that's my spot. And listen, say what you will. Like, I want Jaylin Swain as well to go out there and give his level of competition and stuff as well. But like, I'll tell you this, Jaylin Sellers, that boy can score. And this was the first game where we really saw the true 3-level scoring. His scoring came from activity, deflections, steals, getting in transition. Right, 2-way players rarely get easy minutes. Right, and that's the thing. But Jaylin Sellers is making a case for why the Bulls may not be able to overlook him going into the season. Now, of course, they have Isaac Okoro, they have Jaylin Swain, they have Norman Powell. All these players are expected to get minutes at the 2 a little bit for the Chicago Bulls. But I tell you what, if I'm Jaylin Sellers, I'm taking that personally. I'm going into training camp, and my goal in the training camp is to show, hey, I'm about to cook these people that you got on the actual contract ahead of me, and I need that spot. That's what I'm trying to do if I'm Jaylin Sellers. And I love the intensity that he played with. In the first game, I do think he went into ball hog mode. It's been better the 2 games since then. And while 2-way contract players usually, I'm not going to, we can't count them out. Like, usually do have to go through the G League, but don't count anything out, especially on the team in the Bulls that need some shooting, they need some scoring, and Jaylin Sellers could potentially bring that. Shooting is a premium skill in the NBA, and it's a skill that the Chicago Bulls need badly on their roster. And so if Jaylin Sellers is going to be able to bring that a little bit for this team, I don't think you can completely overlook him and the potential that he has on bringing it to the team. Now, Donovan Atwell as well scored 19 points. He went 6 of 12 from the field. All of his shots were 3-pointers. I don't think he's as complete of a player as Jaylin Sellers, personally, right? So Atwell is a player that, he signed to an Exhibit 10 deal, which the point of the Exhibit 10 is that if you go through training camp with that team, and you stay on that deal, and then even if they sign you to a G League contract, you get a little bit more extra money because of that. I think Donovan Atwell is destined for the G League, for a player that literally brings almost nothing but three-point shooting. He's not the scorer that Jaylin Sellers is. I would not be mad if we end up giving the 15th spot to Jaylin Sellers and converting Donovan Atwell to a two-way and going out and get another player out of two-way. I don't know, right? But listen, Donovan Atwell really stood out with his shooting as well, but he is a pure shooter. That's it. Jaylin Sellers stood out because of his three-level scoring, but then we can't overlook the game that Tobe Awaka played. Now, finally, Tobe Awaka, who was the number 1 rated undrafted free agent by ESPN, he finally had a game where you saw that potential in him. 14 points, 10 rebounds, 3 steals, 2 blocks. He looked a lot more comfortable in this game. He showed his motor. He showed his strength. He showed that activity. And I tell you what, I'm glad that he's on this G League team. I'm glad that he's on a 2-way contract because, like I said when we signed him, that's the type of player that's worth investing in and seeing what you can get out of him. It doesn't mean that he's going to end up turning into an NBA player. It doesn't mean that. Not every 2-way contract has. It doesn't mean that it's a fail if it doesn't. He's a UDFA, but you're taking a shot on a player that could bring something that's needed to your team. And big man depth, quality big man depth for big men that just know their game, come in, they play tough, they can rebound, they can block shots. There is always a role in that for players. Now, he's 6'8", right? So he's not going to have, even though he has a really solid wingspan, he's not like the biggest guy out there, but like we've seen it between, we've seen like the Paul Reeds, right? The Isaiah Stewarts. We've seen those type of players be able to have impacts. I'm not saying that he's going to be one of those type of players, but I will say this, keep developing them to see, because if you can eventually get him to be a solid bench piece for you, you got that on a relatively cheap deal, and you understood the potential that he had, and you developed and cultivated that, and then ended up turning into something on your roster. So that's what I look at. That's what I like in regards to that as well. And we'll see. There's going to be some real roster decisions made with these guys. And, we'll see what happens in regards to them. Like Donovan Atwell, you're going to have to make a decision on, like, if he keeps shooting well, if you're going to give him a 2-way contract, because other teams can come with a 2-way contract, even if you have him signed to an exhibit deal. And Tobe Awaka has shown growth in the right areas as well throughout his game. And you got to love that also. The setting screens, the pocket reads that he did as well was really good in regards to that one. And so as he's adjusting to NBA spacing and things like that, it's going to be good there. So, Austin Default talked about Tobe Awaka and his game-to-game growth. And to me, if your coaching staff is noticing that, it's something to be said about that. So Awaka, he's not flashy. He's not that type of thing, but he plays with force. He plays with power, and he plays with toughness, and you like that. And Jaylin Sellers, Jaylin Sellers may force the Bulls into some tough decisions in regards to what they want to do. You can play up to 65 games, I think, on a 2-way contract. We'll see what happens in regards to that one. But before we get out of here, we also got to talk about the hires that Tiago Splitter made to his staff. That's official. He hired some new assistants, which some of you guys have been asking about as well. So, Tiago Splitter, Wes Unseld Jr. staying with the team, so there's that part of it. Austin Default is staying with the team as well. He's a holdover as well from Billy Donovan's staff. It seems like Dan Craig's on his way out, but then you have new assistants in Rex Calamane, who's there, Jonah Hersku, who's there, and Blake Ahern as well, who's there. Calamane is a guy who's has really a lot of years of NBA experience. He's been on a lot of really good respective staff. So Tiago Splitter's really filling his coaching staff with guys that have been around the league, which, again, as a first-time full-time head coach, because I know he did coach, was a interim head coach last year for the Portland Trailblazers, but as a first-time permanent head coach, you want to surround yourself with guys that have been in different spots, that have had that. And so Rex Calamane is a guy that he's been on the Milwaukee Bucks. He had 2 years under Doc Rivers there. He also was with the OKC Thunder from 2009 to 2015 also. And then he was with the Toronto Raptors, where he also was there, a little overlap with Norman Powell also. So I think that's there. So with him being a first-time head coach, it's really good to surround yourself with those guys. John Hersku, I believe is how you pronounce his name. He was with the Portland Trailblazers G League head coach last season. The team went 19-7 with him as the head coach of that G League team as well. And he was the 3 years as an assistant with the Trailblazers before that in regards to it as well. Hersku and Splitter never worked together on the same coaching staff, so there is that. So you look in regards to that one, but overall, there. And then Blake Ahern, who was also hired by the Bulls, he comes over. He has experience with the Memphis Grizzlies under Taylor Jenkins. He also was with the San Antonio Spurs G League head coach prior to being with the Memphis Grizzlies as well. And this is a guy also that he was a former player as well. He played with the Miami Heat, with the San Antonio Spurs, and with the Utah Jazz as well. He was a sharpshooter. So maybe, he's going to bring over some of those philosophies to help players work on their shooting right along with Austin Dufault as well. So Tiago has now filled out his staff. And I think that, as we get closer and closer to the NBA season going, we kind of know exactly in the front office. Now the coaching staff's kind of filled out. And, hey, we'll see what this Bulls team can do and what they can accomplish, man. But that's going to do it for today's episode. I want to hear from you guys down below. How do you feel about the Summer League? Who stood out to you? Do you think Jaylin Sellers, Tobe Awaka are these guys that are worth investing in? Do you think Jaylin Sellers can make it interesting in training camp, especially with Dalen Swain not really wowing at all in Summer League up until this point? Let me know what you guys think on that part down below. Make sure you guys like the video, subscribe to the channel, hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode or a live stream. You can follow us at Bull Central Pod on every social media platform. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, bullcentralpod@gmail.com. And lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-270-2799. We are the #1 spot for everything Chicago Bulls related, but that is thanks to you, lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, go Bulls. Love you guys. See you right if you can, y'all. Peace.
This has been a presentation of Breaks